Everybody, it's Sophie and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing, is it our last full moon movie for the year? It is called End of the World, and it's remastered, so that's kind of part of the title.
No, it's not.
No?
No.
Okay, well, buy it. It is a remastered version. That's what we were able to watch. And it was...
Yeah, I thought originally, last year, we wanted to watch these movies, and then they mysteriously got taken off, as in, Charles Band watched our videos, and he was like, no! And he removed them or something. I don't know what happened with that. It was really weird, and so we thought maybe we're not going to be able to watch this, because the original version is not available, but then the remastered version is, though. So that was the deal with that.
Well, I think they made it in 1977 then, right? And then they remastered it in May 2008.
Ooh, really?
So
why'd they do that too? Like, what a waste of time.
I think it was
remastering that movie.
I don't know, because remastering usually means they make it to where it's really watchable and hearable, and I mean everything about
hearable.
it. Well, the thing is,
it's hearable.
There's another video I've been watching. It's the Animals who did a.
Is that a movie?
Can you be quiet? I just want to mention what a really good remastered video looks like. And this was a music video for the Animals. They did, I think, in 1964. It's called The House of the Rising Sun, and you would think they did it yesterday. This movie, I had trouble hearing some of it. I didn't think the audio was very good, and that surprised me because
it was fun.
It was a remastered version, and it seems like
there's only so much they can do, Sophie.
Well,
they can't...
you gotta wonder what the original was like.
Oh,
it must have been pretty bad, because I don't think it was as perfect. I thought it was grainy sometimes, and I thought the audio wasn't that great, so it must have been really bad.
Well, that was the least of this movie's problems, the audio and the video.
That's true.
The whole movie had problems. The audio and how it looked, it was like, whatever. The movie itself is terrible. Like, this movie, I knew it was going to be bad. It looked bad. It seemed like a clickbaity type of movie, where it's just like, oh, look, it's going to be the end of the world. And then also in Charles Band's memoir, his shitty memoir that didn't really have much interesting stuff in it, he said that this movie was bad. Like, he fully admitted that this movie was terrible. So, he's admitted to it, and it just seems like a typical bad movie, and there's a couple of redeeming things about it that are...
Well, the idea's interesting.
No, it's not.
I think.
Really?
Well, yeah, but not completely, but still, they're on the right track, I think. It would be...
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, it's hard to say, but go ahead. I don't know. I'm just thinking...
Well, it's like, I could hardly even pay attention. Like, in the first 10 minutes, I was starting to feel sleepy, and I was like, why am I feeling sleepy? Like, I haven't felt this way watching a movie in a long time. And it's like, it really is one of those movies that's so bad that it will make you fall asleep. And so I had to start doing things in the background to even, just watch the movie, because it was so bad that, if I tried to watch it completely, I would have fallen asleep and just been totally miserable.
Yeah, I struggled with it, not falling asleep, but it was, there wasn't much going on. It was very, I don't know what you call it, where it's a thinking kind of movie.
It's a talking movie, those movies where hardly anything happens, and it just feels like, oh, what are we doing here?
And they were talking about the science in it, the computer technology is just unbelievable. It's so backward. I remember seeing those kinds of computers back in the 70s, and it's just weird to see that. And they don't have cell phones. They really needed them, for their because of what was going on.
I don't think they would have been useful because they could have just destroyed them with the powers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like the
that's
car
true.
and everything.
They were aliens who had come down here, and I don't know what did they think they were going to do, and then that they decided they couldn't stay here because it was just too awful.
Yeah, they saw that the world is terrible because of war and
Sickness.
homelessness and stuff, and they're like, no, we're going back home.
And they had a portal to go through, but they didn't have all the science to get back for some reason, and we had the science that they could use to help them get back, and so they were there was this constant communication coming from where these aliens were and their planet, and the scientists...
Yeah, like, there was this one stupid scene, like, the whole movie's stupid, but there was this one part where there's, like, this computer message, and it says, single world disruption over and over again.
Yeah, and it just... I think it was just made-up science, because, we're just listening to this, and we're like, we don't even know what that means. And I think it was just gobbledygook. I think they just made it up. And I don't know, whenever they had Star Trek episodes and they said like certain science, it was very brief, and it just seemed like it wasn't that hard to understand.
But Star Trek is good. This is not.
Yeah, I know. And so this scientist, he's been monitoring, he's a communications person, and he was monitoring these communications, and he saw that there were two places on Earth, which happened to be near where he is, at least a couple hours away, but not in another state, about 10 states away or something. They were close at hand, and he had to check them out. And one place was somebody he knew, and they knew him, and he and his wife, he took his wife, and they almost got arrested. But the guy recognized his name, because he was another scientist. And then this other place was a convent, of all places. And
yeah, see, guys, Safi really paid attention because she.
Well, it was a struggle though.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I'm like, and because when they said all this, it didn't mean anything to me.
Well, you still know what
was
said.
It was just gobbledygook. Well, I don't exactly know what was said because it just didn't sound, it didn't sound realistic. That's the problem. And anyway, it's just talking. And they went back to the convent like, how many times?
1 million.
3 times, and then the last time, I guess it was in the dark, and I'm thinking like, they're sneaking around a convent. This is an active convent with nuns and a priest. They're sneaking around a convent at night, the scientist and his wife. And
well, that's what they do in movies, right, Safi?
yeah, it's just it was just weird.
In real movies, I guess that's what they do.
And should I say what anything?
Well, God,
about
we got to review the movie. You can't just go through the
plot.
plot.
It was just lots of talking, and there was a little tiny bit of action where the aliens blew up a few people and things. And so I guess that's where Marco was talking about if they had had cell phones, they just would have blown them up too.
Yeah, and there was a cool thing with the car explosion. I thought that looked really cool. But that, and then at the very end, you actually see the world explode, the Earth globe. That was cool, I guess. See, that's what I thought, like, this movie was all made around that shot. Like, they were like, it would be really cool if there was a shot of an Earth exploding, and then they just wrote the movie around that. And yeah, that's not a good idea. And and then also, I guess it is fun seeing some of these actors like Christopher Lee and then Lolita. But there is something very hilarious to talk about with that, because, you know, Christopher Lee, he talked a lot of shit, and he said a lot of stupid shit, too. In my opinion, you know, the thing about, like, he wouldn't say the lines in Dracula movies because they're not good enough for him. And, you know, he didn't want to be in these Dracula movies, so he's like, he doesn't care about putting all these people out of jobs. You know, just a lot. And then, like, in a commentary, too, he's, like, shit-talking Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though he admitted in the video that he never saw it. So it's like, why are you
criticizing something you didn't even see?
Yeah, he's acting like, oh, no, movies like that are bad, you know, and it's like, oh, God. So Christopher Lee, he's known to say stupid shit, and one of the stupid things that he said was about this movie, and he said, like, he's been conned into making movies, and with this one, his producers promised him he would work with 5 major actors in a movie, and then this is what came out of that. And he said that he was disappointed, and he was angry that he had to be in this movie with these nobodies. And it's like, excuse me, like, just Lolita alone, if you got to be in a movie with Lolita, just her alone, that is a major movie. Like, I'm sorry, like, this whole thing with, like, these people are nobodies. Like, Safi, who are the other people, too?
Okay, well, that Sue Lyon is the name of the girl who plays Sylvia Boren, the wife of the professor, and that was a woman who played Lolita. Collins, and I'm not sure what he had a suit on the whole time, and they call it Collins / the old man. And he was played by Dean Jagger. Dean Jagger has been in multiple movies. He's in multiple TV shows, and he won an Oscar and for his supporting role in 12 O'Clock High, which I've seen.
What's that? Oh, that nobody's seen that movie. Nobody's seen that.
I liked it. It was good. It had Mickey Rooney in it.
No, that's a nothing movie.
And then there was also an actor, and he played a smaller part. His name was McDonald Carey. He played like a security guard, and he and the professor, they had to communicate every time this professor wanted to get look at this certain object that these aliens were interested in so they could go back home. And his name was McDonald Carey, and he played on a soap opera called The Guiding Light for 30 years.
Nobody's ever heard of that.
He was also in a few old movies, and he was also a guest on other TV shows.
Oh, no, he wasn't. No.
30 years as one of the main characters. I recognized him too. I didn't watch that show, but I just recognized him because you would see these people, like, you know, they'd be on the cover of TV Guide.
How could you recognize a nobody?
So, anyway, there was another guy, but I didn't write his name down. But these two, Collins, the old man, like I said, he got this Oscar, but also I recognized him because he played the retired general in the the Christmas Carol, not Christmas Carol, but not Holiday Inn, but it's with Bing Crosby and I can't think. Anyway, where he has a hotel
that
in
is
Vermont.
Holiday Inn.
Okay.
That is Holiday Inn. You already talked about that earlier.
He has an inn in Vermont, and
of course we all know.
To help him, and they bring all the military under his command there.
And of course,
for a reunion.
We all know that nobody's ever heard of Holiday Inn. Nobody's ever heard of that movie. Christopher Lee hasn't, I guess. So yeah, you know, Christopher Lee. The more and more you hear about him, the worse and worse he is. Like, he's so pretentious, he's so elitist, and, you know, to say that, you know, he's in a movie with Lolita, and to say that he's in a movie with a bunch of nobodies, that's just well, number one, it's objectively false. So there's that. Like, you know, that it's objectively wrong. You know, you can say like a movie's good or bad, and that's subjective, but objectively, these people that he acted with, they're not nobodies. And so I thought that that was very disrespectful. Like, even though this movie's a piece of trash, to say that he's in the movie with nobodies is just a lie.
Well, it's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
And rude.
So, you know, Christopher Lee continues his path of being one of the shittiest people in Hollywood. Which maybe that's why he makes for a good villain. Because in this movie, he is creepy still. In this movie, he's creepy. Even though the movie's terrible, it's like, you know, he's as scary as he usually is.
He's really good, and they actually show him turning into the alien at the very end when he gets on the portal. So the scientist and his wife, they had to be there, and they made him stay there. And all the nuns...
And they served them bacon and eggs.
Yeah. And all the nuns... they were all of these people were aliens. They had killed the original people. They killed the priest, the original priest, and all the original nuns. So these people were the aliens, and disguised to look like the nuns and priests. And then at the end, Christopher Lee turned into, instead of looking like the priest, he turned into his alien form and went through the portal.
Yeah, so before we get to the ending, I would also like to mention, you know, this movie, it is very, very boring. And one of the few interesting things was that they showed, like, this vintage candy and cigarette machine. They showed that, and I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And, like, it's just, this movie's just so boring. Like, nothing happens this whole movie. And then at the end, the world explodes. And it's like, wow, what a journey that was. I'm glad we didn't pay money to see that. And it ends up to where it's one of those stupid movies where the bad guys force the good guy to do a mission that they could have done themselves. You know, like kind of like an Ant-Man 3, you know, where that stupid Token King forces Ant-Man to go on that mission that he could have done himself a million times. The same thing happens in this movie where they force the main guy to go to this place and do this thing with the computer or something.
No, he had to get this. He had to go into this locked room. Remember, I talked about the guard, and that guard was played by McDonald Carey. Well, the guard would even have to watch him. I think he would have to press some kind of button or unlock the door, and they'd go in and look at this. He had to put on a suit, and then he would open up the lid, and it was all this, that a fog machine would show, and they pull up this green glowing rod out of this container, and that's what the aliens wanted.
And it's like, why couldn't they have just done that themselves? Sorry, they have all these powers, right? And they can't use them to get that fucking rod.
And they ended up, as the professor, he got it, and he was really good friends with the guard, and the guard saw him, and he knew he'd done it, and he had pressed an alarm, so the whole place went off in an alarm. But he didn't stop him with the gun or run after him. He just watched him, and then as he was going out, the aliens blew up the place where it had been stored, and all those guards were killed. So, like Jim Marco said, that
oh shit!
Sorry, that they probably could have got it themselves.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
And then at the end of the movie, they've gotten the rod, and the aliens are like, now we are going to destroy planet Earth. And if you guys want to come with us to our alien planet, feel free to. And I was like, wait a second, there's a ton of questions here. number one, how do they know that that planet is habitable for humans?
Yeah.
Is there air there? Is there water? Food? Is there bacon and eggs there? Is there candy for Lolita? Like, what's there? And then they're like, on our planet, instead of going to war, we built things and built things. And it's like, you after a little while, just on any size planet, you're certainly going to run out of space to just build things if that's all you do is a society. Just build things. Let's build the wall. Oh, we already did that. Let's do something else.
It actually fell down.
Let's build another wall.
Falling down.
Oh, we already did that. Let's build a second Statue of Liberty. We already did that a million years ago. We're on our 50th Statue of Liberty.
They did it in France and imported it here.
Safi, that's not the fucking point.
Yeah, I know what the point is.
Why are you talking into yourself like you're like, I'm
looking at my notes.
I'm talking into myself.
Okay, Marco, keep going.
But those questions really kind of just make you shrug at the end of the movie because
there's so many of them.
Of course, then the couple goes, and
they decide to follow him through the portal. Together, they held hands. They didn't go one at a time, which that was probably a good idea. They held hands and they went through there, and you never saw them again. And then they show the room and they show everything blowing up.
Yeah, it's just such a snooze fest. It's such a lame movie. Safi?
It just wasn't very good. Are you ready for our food review? Well, I gave it something where you would make a dish, but you'd only have one ingredient, and then you would have to use leftovers to try to put something together, and you just couldn't. It just wasn't. They weren't very good. They were old, and all you had was like one thing, and that could stand for maybe the actors. Like Christopher Lee was really good, and then Lolita, and you had this, kind of a core cast. They were okay. I mean, I don't think they were bad actors.
I thought that the main guy was pretty bad. He was very boring.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't as...
He was very, very boring.
He wasn't as experienced as these other actors.
He had this boring 70s haircut, and he had this boring suit that he wore the whole movie, and he had this boring 1970s newscaster voice. He was the worst. And if this movie had like a real actor in it, he was probably like the one not real actor. But if it had a real one in it, it would have actually improved the movie a little bit.
A little bit, but the writing was poor. And the story wasn't fleshed out. It was almost like I said...
It wasn't flushed out?
Yes, it wasn't developed.
No, it's fleshed.
A lot of empty...
It's fleshed.
A lot of empty spaces.
The story wasn't fleshed out.
So you're putting together a recipe with crappy ingredients and one good ingredient, and it doesn't work. And that's kind of what this movie is.
So kind of like what you do all the time.
No, I don't. So anyway, that's what I give it. How about you, Marco? What did you give it?
I would give it something immediately came to mind, and that is cold McDonald's.
Ew.
And what happens is, like, sometimes you go to McDonald's and they're worse than usual, and you get a cold single hamburger, no cheese, and no mustard. They forgot the mustard because they didn't watch the Founder movie enough times. And it's cold, and then the French fries are ice cold. The drink is cold, obviously. That's the only part that works. And, like, that's what this movie is. It's like cold McDonald's. It's like something that you ordered it, you picked it up, and you have to eat it, unfortunately. Like, what are you going to do? Throw it away and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Like, no, you have to eat the McDonald's. I guess you can put it in the microwave and pretend like it's good, which I feel like the microwave symbolizes the remaster of the movie, because I don't know why they would spend money on remastering such a terrible movie.
And it must have been pretty bad, because the remastering wasn't as good as it could have been. So, and maybe they just, because it wasn't there to remaster in a good way, perfect way.
This is like cold McDonald's. Beat that, Sophie.
Okay, well, so
next we will have to rank all the movies.
Right, that we watched this year.
No, Sophie, that's
Everything?
at the end of the year. The full moon movies. We already did that. I showed you the list earlier.
Okay, I don't know I don't understand.
What?
Okay, so we're gonna rank all of the full moon movies?
The full moon movies that we watched this year. We can't rank the full moon movies if we haven't seen them all. That's the whole point of doing this.
Okay.
What are you doing now?
I'm standing here. I have to stand up while he's sitting down.
Yeah, because we don't have 2 seats in this room, so, the person with the anxiety disorder is going to be the one sitting down. Sorry. So we will be doing that ranking, and then also we will be taking jelly beans. How about this, Sophie? Would you rather get the jelly beans over with right now?
No, I got to do something else.
What do you mean?
I need to go do something else.
Oh, okay. It's what if the end of the world comes? You never
Marco,
know.
Please.
The end of the world could come, and Lolita isn't around to protect you anymore.
So if you like this movie, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe if you want to hear more of these videos. And that's it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.